Welcome back to the Total Athlete vlog. I have no idea what number this one is. Kind of got a backlog of recordings that I need to edit and upload. Kind of been slacking on editing for the workouts. It is a little bit of work to edit and upload them, but it's good fun once I get around to it. The reason I'm recording this one with a voiceover now is because the microphone stopped working midway through this workout, so a lot of the audio recordings are completely corrupt. So let's get into it. So this workout, we did some acceleration sprinting. We started off with some build-ups, so working from a jog, getting up into some top-end speed, and then we played a really fun acceleration game, which I came up with. It's called Grab the Clip. You put two of those weightlifting clips, I have no idea what they're actually called. You put one on top of the other one, and the goal is just to get the clip before the other person can. And what I like about this game is it's reactive, there's an external constraint, it's competitive, it's fun, and it's going to warm you up perfectly. You're still getting a good stimulus for acceleration. You're accelerating out of different positions, different compromise positions, and yeah, I would highly recommend giving this a try if you've got the privilege of working out with someone else. If you're working out on your own, you could still do something like this, where you have to sprint and then go and do something. That'd be better than just doing random acceleration sprints. Unless, of course, you are trying to work on acceleration technique, but games like this, really great way to get a nice high stimulus, engaging sprint session in. So what we were doing here afterwards was a plyometric warm-up for bench. So usually I would just do like plyometric push-ups, but I found this exercise in a plyometrics book that I'm reading at the moment, and I figured I'd implement it into training, and it was so much fun because when someone's grabbing your legs, you can get a little bit more height on the plyometrics, and it enables you to come down with a bit more velocity versus if your feet were just completely planted on the ground. You could also do like a upper body depth drop where you put maybe two boxes or like some plates stacked up, and then you fall from like a standing position and like try and catch yourself, but nothing can really give you that repeated like high altitude pushing, unless of course you're like incredibly strong with your upper body and you can just push yourself to standing from the ground. But not all of us are blessed with that strength or that power in the upper body, but we are working towards it. So implementing that was really fun, and pairing that with the bench warm-up, it kind of felt like the bar was flying off. It felt really explosive. It was a really good potentiation for bench. We did work up to some heavy singles. Antonio worked up to, I think, a top single of 100. I wrote it down here. And I worked up to a top single of 110, but the camera stopped recording for some reason. We lost a bit of footage from this workout. It sounds kind of convenient how we lost the footage of our top single. Trust me, bro, I can bench 110. Trust me. But yeah, so we lost some footage. But then after that, we did an AMRAP set with 70 kilograms. Just kind of hit both ends of the strength and hypertrophy spectrum, well, both ends of that stimulus. So we're hitting a top single, really peaking the force, and then we're working on, I guess you could say, work capacity, hypertrophy, just building up the capacity of the body to push horizontally, I guess you could say, improving, as I said, both ends of the spectrum. So it's always good, as I often talk about, to not just have a whole block where you're focusing on one thing. Even within the same session, you can get multiple different stimuli. You can get a good hypertrophy stimulus and a strength stimulus within the same session. You can get a good muscular endurance and strength stimulus within the same session. You can get a good power and speed. You know, you can hit, I mean, you can't necessarily hit every single thing in the best as if you just focused on one thing in the session, but there's no reason why you can't have a good level of stimulus across a bunch of different qualities all within one session. So that was the main focus for bench. It was to get heavy single, get a strength stim, and then get a little bit of just an AMRAP. Just do something that sucks, do as many reps as you can with a given weight. Then for the rows, much the same thing, except we didn't go for a heavy single on bench. We just on rows, we went up to a couple of AMRAP sets with a nice moderate weight. Really just trying to get as many reps in as we can. It's nice to pair a horizontal pushing exercise with a horizontal pulling exercise. We didn't superset them, of course, but it's just nice to pair them in the same session. Get those antagonistic and agonistic muscles working together. So that's a pretty darn simple workout if you look at it. It's just some sprints, bench, bent over row, and then we finish with some weighted sit-ups. I'm a really big fan, I'm a big proponent of quality over quantity, especially when you're picking, big compound movements, rows, squats, deadlifts, sprinting. It's better to do less and really make sure that you're giving the exercise the intensity that it deserves than to do 1,000 different exercises, because as we all know with training, the more the session prolongs, the more the law of diminishing returns happens. Like when you're freshest at the start of the session, those exercises are going to be the ones that give you the best returns. Every exercise after the first like 2 or 3 isn't really going to be giving you much more, because you're losing freshness, the cortisol is building up, the fatigue levels are building up. There's not really going to be much more value in adding another upper body exercise after this point. Maybe we could have done some isolation work, but we were already pretty tired from the sprint. We wanted to keep this workout under, I think it was 60 minutes. And this whole workout took us about 60, 65 minutes. We didn't want to take it over that point, and we wanted to hit some core. So, as I said, you just need to have the minimum effective dose, but you also need the minimum effective number of exercises as well. You don't need to be doing more than is necessary, especially when it comes to keeping an eye on fatigue for the other sessions in the week as well. If you want to be training with a decent amount of frequency, you really have to make sure that every session isn't too much, but also not too little as well. But I always err on the side of doing less exercises and just hitting those exercises that I do a lot harder with much higher intensity, or just making sure that I'm getting everything I need to with that exercise, rather than bloating the workout with like 15 different exercises, when by the time I get to like the 7th or 8th, I just can't be arsed with it anymore anyway. Less almost always is more if you decide to give the exercises the focus and the intensity that they deserve, especially when they're, as I said before, globally stimulating exercises, heavy compound movements, sprinting, jumping, and lifting. Of course, if you do those exercises with the correct intensity and you allocate the correct focus to them in the session, you don't really need to do much more than them in order to get an appropriate stimulus to drive the adaptations that we're looking for, which is, sprinting faster, jumping higher, lifting heavier, getting bigger, getting stronger, so on and so forth. That's pretty much it for today's workout. I've got one little announcement at the end of the video, just for anyone who is interested to know. I am doing a 1-month challenge for Movember to help raise awareness for men's mental health, because suicide is the #1 cause of death in men under 50. And that is a horrible statistic. So I am raising money by doing 1 backflip every day and 100 push-ups every day. If you want to donate, click the link in the description for the video. Thanks for watching, guys.